While Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has drastic implications for the future of the MCU and the multiverse as a whole, perhaps the most drastic change to the modern MCU landscape was the debut of the group known as the Illuminati. This incredibly prolific superhero team introduced the first multiversal iterations of the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Inhumans into the MCU, priming their eventual return in the mainline MCU. While each of the individuals who serve on the Illuminati in the MCU that we've seen so far are incredibly important in their own right, is it possible that we've already seen Earth 616's first iteration of this very same team? Is there already a preliminary Illuminati lineup that we overlooked and are only just now finding out about? Well, today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse will stick to this theory and see if there is already a version of the Illuminati on Earth 616, or rather the mainline MCU, and that they can be seen in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Let us begin. First, let's assess the most prominent traits of the group as a whole as we see them in Earth 838. In 838, the group seems to be made up of the most important team leaders from their timeline, with representatives being sent from the X-Men, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the Inhumans, and S.W.O.R.D. respectively. We know that the Avengers exist as a unit because Captain Carter herself is referred to as the first Avenger, just like we know that the Inhumans exist due to Black Bolt being called the Inhuman King. The Fantastic Four are also specifically named, as Charles Xavier's title of professor indicates that his school is prominent and is a major aspect of this timeline. While Captain Marvel of this timeline is not explicitly stated to be a representative of S.W.O.R.D., it stands to reason that she is standing in for some iteration of intergalactic affairs. And on Earth 838, this would most likely be attributed to S.W.O.R.D. or an organization similar to S.W.O.R.D. if it isn't a group on Earth 838. They also offer a seat to the Sorcerer Supreme and regard Reed Richards as the smartest man alive, indicating that this was one of the premier traits that warranted his inclusion on the Illuminati roster, aside from simply being the leader of the Fantastic Four. It's in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings that we need to look more closely at, as Wong calls Shang-Chi and KD to tmarvelouswave. He does this in order to evaluate the Ten Rings and potentially determine their point of origins. Also taking part in this meeting is Carol Danvers as well as Bruce Banner, putting Captain Marvel, the Sorcerer Supreme, and one of the smartest Avengers in the same room together for the first time. While this might be relatively innocuous to begin with, there are some striking similarities between these individuals and the Illuminati that might indicate that this is the origin team in the MCU. And in Shang-Chi's post-credit scene, this is the beginning of the Illuminati. Spider-Man Far From Home made a reference to a question that seemed to be on everyone's mind, and that was whether or not the Avengers are still an official team following the events of Endgame. The true answer to this question seems to be up in the air as of now, and it's relatively apparent that the Avengers as a unit are on a hiatus after Endgame. Since Endgame, we have not seen an official assembly of the Avengers, as each seem to have returned to their own respective corners of the Marvel Universe. While the Earth is still inhabited by heroes, there don't seem to be many organized teams left. With the recent death of Tony Stark, it stands to reason that one of the most intelligent superheroes left on Earth is Bruce Banner. And since 616 Reed Richards has not made his debut in the MCU as of now, he might be the premier scientific mind for the Illuminati, much like how Reed did on Earth 838. We also know that the Sorcerer Supreme of course holds a seat on the council on 838. In fact, it was said that Doctor Strange was the first to assemble the Illuminati, and after his death, his seat was passed down to the next in line to inherit the title of Earth's Sorcerer Supreme, that being Karl Mordo. On Earth 616, since R. Strange blipped out of existence for the past 5 years, Wong is the current sitting Sorcerer Supreme and leader of tmarvelouswave, much like Mordo was the multiversal iteration that replaced Strange. However, again, the theory continues. Perhaps the most prominent similarity is that each respective iteration and team has a Captain Marvel and is included on the roster. Overall, both organizations seem to be a unification of cosmic affairs, mystical affairs, and scientific affairs, though Earth 616 does not have a population of mutants or Inhumans to take into account as of currently. That doesn't mean though that those seats won't be filled later. While this might not be an outright assembly of the formal Illuminati, it might indicate that the pieces are being set for the official iteration of the team to finally make their debut in the mainline Marvel Universe. And this might have been the silent origin of the team, with these being the first 616 members. From here, it's likely that these three individuals seek to bring in more representatives from elsewhere in the MCU in order to make the roster more closely resemble that of its multiversal Universal counterpart, be it Sam Wilson's iteration of Captain America, in addition to either Nick Fury, Maria Hill, or someone from S.H.I.E.L.D. The roster of current MCU heroes has a long list of potential candidates to choose from, each with a list of reasons that warrant their inclusion. While Shang-Chi was a welcome entry into the MCU, it seemed to have little in the way of long-lasting changes to offer to the universe, especially when compared to the likes of No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness. Seeing that Shang-Chi may have been the catalyst for the assembly of Earth-616's Illuminati, however, might augment his significance and the scope of the wider MCU, as well as give Shang-Chi ties to one of the most important assemblies of superheroes of this universe. Now though, as for the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, they need to make their inevitable debuts in the MCU in order to be included in the Illuminati roster, which they likely will be. There might be already a collection of individuals who would welcome them into the fold with open arms, allowing them a place within this organization in order to keep the Earth safe and attend to the needs of each specific organization. This would also build connective tissues between the old MCU and the newcomers who are set to arrive in the very near future, with mentors such as Bruce Banner and Wong having the ability to mentor young heroes and become well acquainted with the likes of Reed Richards and Charles Xavier, which would help them to be more seamlessly integrated into the larger universe. But anyway, watchers of the Marvel multiverse, we believe that the beginnings of the Illuminati have already started in the Marvel universe, and we believe that they actually first showed up in Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings, with this being the group's beginnings, and we believe that it will only expand from here. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this, and what are your thoughts on this being the first iteration of the Illuminati? Do you think that this is what's happening in the MCU, and do you think the Illuminati are already present? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching the channel and continuing to support the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.